Hi, I'm Milena. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to the second book haul I'm doing in 2023, and it's October. I just thought I hadn't bought that many books, so why, film an entire book haul. I have picked up so many secondhand books from everywhere and nowhere, but what I did notice is that my tab on Goodreads' own TBR did not change, even though I was reading a lot of books. The piles behind me are the reason. If I count all the books I've bought in the last 6 months, it's this. It's a lot. I think there's a second stack in the back that fell a few times, which are my secondhand classics, which are the pearl of my existence right now because there was a book market in August and I bought all my birthday books there. So all the money I had gathered for my birthday I spent on secondhand classics. I think we're gonna start with the special editions because I want them to be out of this pile. I want them to be safe. All of those are classics as well. This is basically a classics book haul with a little bit of historical fiction and some non-fiction, but it's mainly a classics book haul, which makes me so excited. So the first special edition I actually got secondhand at the thrift store. This illustrated edition of one of Tolkien's tales that is edited by his grandson. This is The Children of Húrin, which I still don't know how to pronounce, but it fits perfectly with my Tolkien collection. Talking about my Tolkien collection, our birthday is on the 1st of August, which is so long ago now, but boy got me one of the most beautiful books ever made, and that is this edition of the Silmarillion. This has the beautiful sprayed edges with the elven language. The Silmarillion I will read once I have finished the trilogy, and once I'm ready to read this I will let Lucy know and she will help me through this because it's supposed to be quite dense, but it's all about Middle Earth, about the world in which Lord of the Rings exists. Thank you so much, boy, for this gorgeous edition. Talking about gifts, Mary, also for my birthday, got me this beautiful edition of all of the Brontë novels. I'm not sure. No, it's Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights and The Tenth of Whitehall, so the three main ones. And this has a beautiful gold sprayed edge as well. I just love the illustrations on it. It looks so beautifully. I'm sure that you have seen it in the background on my Brontë shelf. And Mary, thank you so much for your generosity. This is one of the prettiest books I own. And then I watched a film, Miss Potter I believe, and I fell in love. So I wanted an edition of Peter Rabbit, his tales, or the tales of Peter Rabbit. And I ordered one, did not know I would get such a massive edition. That's like twice my head. I don't regret it at all because it has really beautiful colored illustrations. I haven't read it yet. I mean, my mom and my dad, I'm sure, read it to me when I was small. Oh, there are two styles of illustrations as well. This is really lovely. So I will read this at some point. Probably will save it for a readathon or something. I'm sure it will fit a few prompts. Now that those editions are safe, let's start rescuing my secondhand editions that are falling like every 5 minutes. Okay, this is a modern classic. I think it's translated from the Arab. Yes, it's from Lebanon, from the late 20th century. And this is the story of Zara by Hanan al-Shaikh. And I don't know what it is about. I saw it at a thrift store and I thought, a modern classic from Lebanon. That sounds really interesting. What I'm guessing is it's a coming of age story set in Lebanon. But if you know more about this, let me know. One, I think I found it in a book cafe. All of this is secondhand so far. And that is Evelina by Frances Burney. I have not read anything by Frances Burney, but this one has been on my wish list on and off for some time. And I think it's Victorian, is it? As you can see, I know very little about the books I buy secondhand because I see a classic that I know the name of and I buy it. Sure, 2002, that's helpful. It is apparently Frances Burney's debut novel, and its vivid, satirical and seductive account of the pleasures and dangers of fashionable life in the late 18th century in London. Then one that I bought, and then Sarah picked it for our Hobbitses book club read, and that is Stoner by John Williams. This is, I think, about a man who loses his wife and is very depressed. He said he marries the wrong woman, his life is quiet, and after his death his colleagues remember him rarely. We'll be reading this with the Hobbitses book club. At some point I'll leave it here somewhere in 2024, but I'm so happy that I found like an edition at the thrift store before we even picked it. Still in the thrift store picks. Will I ever read this? Probably not. But that is The Critique of Judgment by Immanuel Kant. This is one of those at some point kind of books, like Ulysses by James Joyce. If I had found that one in this edition I would have bought it. I will probably read it like at some point. Maybe, probably, but I like to have this in my collection. Boy was also interested in it, so maybe it will be his at some point book, who knows. So all the other ones, most of these I think I got at the book fair. 2 more I got from the thrift store. These are Japanese dramas. So I guess they're plays. They look like plays, I think, but something I also wanted to have in my collection. And the other one is, I have no idea, but I was so fascinated and I kind of collect these editions. It's A Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. A book that has crossed most of the barriers of time, race and culture. The Pilgrim's Progress remains the supreme classic of the English Puritan tradition. Oh, so it's religious? I don't know if I want to read this, to be honest, but it was €2, so there we go. Okay, these are all books that I am really actively interested in and that I didn't just buy because I was at a thrift store and was buying shit. These I all got at the book fair. This is Don Quixote, which is definitely one of the classics that I will read at some point, not anytime soon, but I have it in this beautiful edition. The next one is Watership Down by Richard Adams. I think this is where like bunnies take over the world or something. Like, I have been wanting to click on the Netflix series for so long, but because I know it's a classic, I want to read the book first. And I really like this edition with the orange spine. Oh, I have a few Thomas Hardys, which makes me very happy. This is the Trumpet Mayor, which I didn't know existed. I only knew the other one with the mayor, which I do own, but I think I hold that one already. That is the Mayor of Casterbridge, but this one is a very thin one and apparently quite a popular one as well. And then of course I have Jude the Obscure, also by Thomas Hardy. And while I like these editions, I love these ones. I really like the way it is shaped. I really like the font. I really like the way that they use the illustrations, and these editions are superior when it comes to vintage Penguin, in my opinion. So really happy I got one of this, and I got another one of those editions, and that is Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. I was a horse girly, so that film I watched a lot made me cry a lot. Horses have feelings, I discovered through Black Beauty, and I'm afraid the book will let me down, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Another Muriel Spark. This is Memento Mori, which of course I don't know what it is about. I think this is a mystery, so that will be fun. And then for the Hobbitses book club, we read Possession by A.S. Byatt, and I didn't love that, but I really want to give A.S. Byatt another go, so I picked up some short stories. And this is Sugar and Other Stories, and I think kind of the vibe is very much on the cover. Oh, I think they're also a little bit gothic, because it says The July Ghost, The Dried Witch, Loss of Face, The Changeling. So maybe I should have read this in October. Okay, I'm getting a very dangerous pal next to me, so let's not make that happen. And then I have Quartet by Jean Rhys. I really like Jean Rhys, and I just love the picture of this edition. It looks so old. I'm in love with it. Oh, I have one more Thomas Hardy, and that is The Return of the Native. I did have a copy of this one before, but after I bought it, I saw that it had a lot of water damage, so I just used that one for crafting. I'm admitting it here, so I got another edition of this one, and I do want to have all of Hardy's major works in my collection. Oh, and then of course we have an Ian Forster, and that is The Longest Journey, which is I think one of his lesser known ones. This book sounds very autobiographical because it's about a young, sensitive, intelligent man who goes to Cambridge and who wants to write. So that basically sounds like Ian Forster to me. Shall we do the new classics next? Okay, so a few of these I have read, so I won't tell you what it is about, but I'm just hauling everything I've bought. One that I didn't read but wanted to read this summer, but I overestimated myself, is The Summer Book by Tove Jansson. Tove Jansson wrote the Moomin series, and this is I think Meditations on Summer. I've heard a lot of good things about this one on booktube. Oh, one that I also got at a book fair, but this one is new, and that is Nada by Carmen Lafayette. This is a Spanish modern classic, quite a tragic, I think, coming of age story. This one has been on my TBR for a long time as well. This is the Dutch translation, and I think I paid like €3 for this book because I got it at the book fair at a bookstore that is like an outlet bookstore that just sells the things that the publishers have left. So I was very happy I was able to get that book. And then I have The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. This is a very popular book. I've seen it make its rounds on booktube a few years ago. I think like 2 years ago everyone was reading this. Maybe it was because of the memoir release, which is the same author, but this one was published I think in the 90s maybe? Oh no, this was published in 2003, so I don't know if I could call this a classic, but in my mind it was a classic. A gift I got from the lovely Sarah, also for my birthday, is one that I just really want to fit into a TBR already. And that is Women of the Harlem Renaissance, Poems and Stories, which is all, I think, mostly from the 1920s, New York black women So really excited to read this. And then I think the last birthday gift I have in here is the Complete Poems by Emily Brontë. This was a gift from Lucy. I do have other editions of Emily Bronte's poetry, but I think this is the most complete one with all notes and everything. My heart loves Emily Brontë, so thank you so much, Lucy. I think the last modern classic I have, all the other ones are mostly Victorian I think, is Sally on the Rocks by Winifred Wachs. This is about Sally who lives just after the First World War and she is looking for a husband, she's looking to settle, and we follow her on her endeavors. And then a book that I did read for 30 and 30, but I also bought it new just before I read it, and that is De Profundis and Other Writings by Oscar Wilde. I only read De Profundis but not yet his other writings. So this is a letter he wrote when he was in prison. Amazing, it was so beautiful. Would highly recommend to anyone who likes to read non-fiction to read this. Okay, we're getting through it, you guys. We're getting through it. So these are all my massive classics, as you can see. The first one is one I'm going to start, and when I upload this, I think I might be in the middle of it. And that is The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope. I bought this for Victober because it's a group read. It's a massive Victorian novel, and I don't know what it is about. I will tell you probably in my October or November wrap up. And also, if you've seen my Victober vlog, my first one, you can see that I rekindled my love for Dickens. Like, we are good now. So I bought 2 books by Dickens that are at some point kind of books that I want to read, and they are both massive. Of course they are. I did not know, I just bought them because the description sounds like something that I want to read, and the reviews that I've seen kind of matched I think what I would like, but they're both so big. So the first one is Our Mutual Friend, which is one of his later works, and the other one is David Copperfield, which I want to read because I love David Copperhead, but both of them are over 800 pages, so see me try to somehow prioritize these in the next 5 years. The last Victorian novel I have is The Old Women by George Kissing. This is a piece of new woman fiction about women who live non-traditional lives in the Victorian era, and George Kissing really wrote, I think, a lot about those kind of topics. I bought so many classics, and seeing how few classics I've read this year, like here's to 2024. I just want to repeat that this is book purchasing over 6 months. So I didn't just go to the bookstore and buy, like, what is it, like 40 books? I don't know. Okay, so I think most of this pile, not all of it, is from AdSense money. So thank you everyone for putting up with ads on YouTube, because it really helps creators. Of course, I'm a very small creator, so I get just a little bit of money a few times a year, but when I do, you get a book haul. So again, not all of these books, of course. I mean, I don't get that much. This is like literary fiction, I think, mostly. And I don't know if I've shown you this already in another book haul, but I'm so confused about my own book buying. But that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. Again, ginormous book. But I really love Piranesi, so I think I will have to read this at some point. But I probably will need a buddy reader to get through this. A book that I already read is the Final Pages and Go book, and I have almost all of them in this beautiful hardback edition. Then another book I already read is a romance, and that is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, which I quite liked. This was a book that I just bought at the bookstore when I felt like reading a romance book. I have 2 other books from the thrift store. The first one is Eva Luna by Isabel Allende, which I think was also written in the 90s, I think. Oh no, this is a book from the 80s, and this is the book that people say is one of her best ones, next to House of the Spirits, which I have read, so I want to give this a go. Another book that I kind of want to give a second chance, because the book I read by them I didn't love, that is Kalito Sini, and this is A Thousand Splendid Suns, which both Lucy and Sarah told me that I would really love and absolutely have to read after I read And the Mountains Echoed, and did love that one. Another book I have read is Entre Night and Day by Bei Choi, which I really loved. If you want to see me talk about this book, I talk about it in the vlog where I read Jen Campbell's books, but this is experimental literary fiction that really impressed me. A short story collection that I bought is The Dreaming by Andre Bagou. The tagline of this book I think says it all. These stories have the virtue of taking the everyday lives of gay Trinidadian men utterly for granted in their search for adventure, pleasure, self-realization, loving contact and sex. Sounds like a really intriguing short story collection. Oh, I have one book that I got from the publisher. It's in Dutch, but I will translate the title for you. It says Shakespeare Knows Me Better Than My Love. I think it is an exploration how authors really know your emotions and your feelings. So when the publisher reached out to me, I thought, that sounds cool. I want to read that, especially when I saw that George Eliot is also part of this book. So I will read this when it fits into a TBR. So thank you so much to the publisher. Okay, let's get over to my last pile, which is, come over here. Yes! Oh, that didn't sound good. Yeah, I think it's all historical fiction. So the first one is Wait by Jeanette Winterson. This is about the daughters of Atlas. So it's a Greek myth retelling. Or is it Roman now, I think? It's a myth retelling, at least. Another one that I got at the book fair is Booth by Karen Joy Fowler. I read the Jane Austen book club by this author a while back, and this is definitely a different kind of book. This is set in 1822, and we follow a man called Junius Booth, and I think he's in a gang. And it's about his life. So sounds fun, sounds intriguing. And then one book I want to read right now. I don't want to read any other books, and that is The Language of Food by Annabelle Epps. And this is about, I think, a cook, or about a girl who starts cooking and then food becomes a big part of her life. But she writes a cookbook. It's England, 1835. We follow a main character called Eliza Acton, and she is told by her publishers to write a cookery book instead of the poetry she loves. It has apparently great descriptions of food, which I just adore. And then I got a book. I spontaneously bought this because people seem to love it, and it's another Greek myth retelling, and that is Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. Is this the only unread Greek myth telling I own? It definitely is not, but this one got great reviews, so we're going with it. One that I still don't know what it is, but I think this is a fantasy series by one of my favorite historical fiction authors, which is Kieran Millwood Hargrave. And this is In the Shadow of the Wolf Queen. And I think this is supposed to be a YA or middle grade in between fantasy series that is really about the woods and the earth and stuff like that. And I don't want to read the back because I just want to be surprised. I love this author's writing, so I have great expectations for this one. Another Hobbitses book club read is a historical fiction that Mary picked for us, and it is Little by Edward Carey. And I think this is about the existence of Madame Tussauds, about the museums, and I think it is a little bit, I mean, looking at the cover as well, I think it's a little bit gothic. I think it's a little bit gruesome. The wry, macabre, unforgettable tale of an ambitious orphan in revolutionary Paris, befriended by royalty and radicals alike, who transform herself into the legendary Madame Tussauds, and it's set in 1761. So if you want to read this with us, I would love that. Okay, I have 2 books left. One that I think was nominated for some prizes that don't necessarily nominate historical fiction, so that intrigued me. But this is The Secret Diaries of Charles Ignatius Sancho by Patterson Joseph. And I think the title is basically all it says, but I don't know in what time it is set. Ooh, meet Charles Ignatius Sancho. His extraordinary story, hidden for 300 years, is about to be told. It's set in 1746 in London, and we follow a young black man. I have heard such good things about this. And then a book that is... It's a sequel, but it's not a sequel. It's like set in the same world. And that is The Bookbinder of Jericho. And I think in the US it's just The Bookbinder by Pip Williams. I read, The Dictionary of Lost Words I bought by Pip Williams. And that is about a woman and her father is part of making the Oxford Dictionary. And this is supposed to be set in the same kind of historical world with the same characters, but we follow different characters, is what I know about it. And I thought I had ordered a paperback because it was really inexpensive, and then I got this beautiful hardback, which, what a lovely surprise. I think it's very possible that I've forgotten books, because who remembers all the books they bought in the last 6 months? Probably normal people. Normal people would remember. Oh wait, I forgot to show you my non-fiction. Look at them. Just 4 books being really sad in a corner. Aww. Okay, so the first one is The Five by Helly Rumenholt, which I just started reading. I read the introduction and I read the first chapter. It's almost too much. It's about the women that were killed by Jack the Ripper, and instead of like glorifying the murders and everything, going crazy on that, this is about the women and their lives, and it's rough. It's really rough. Something that's also historical, but I hope a little bit less rough, is If Walls Could Talk by Lucy Worsley. I love Lucy Worsley. I've read some autobiographies, one on Jane Austen, and this is just about household stuff, everything that happened in houses historically, and I'm fascinated by that subject, so yeah, I would love to read this at some point. 2 non-fiction books that I have already read that I recently bought. It Came from the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror. I talk about this book in my most recent wrap-up. In my September wrap-up, I talk about this book. And I also talk about this book, Once Upon a Time by Oliver Darkshire, which is about a man who works in a rare bookshop. And this is about his work and his life. But again, I will refer you to that wrap-up. Should we count? Should we count the books? I already lost count, of course, why not? 51. I bought 51 books in the last 6 months. That is like almost 10 books a month. Oh, that's not okay. That's too much. I mean, I'm consoling myself with the fact that a big chunk of these books are secondhand, but still, I read so many audiobooks that I don't really need that many physical books, to be honest. So even though I read around like 100 to 150 books a year, this will take me 2 years to read, and that is not even counting the other unread books on my shelves. Like, this is why I don't want to film book hauls, because it's stressing me out. But I hope that you had a great time. If there are any books between these 51 books that you think I should prioritize, then I will. Then these will be bumped up on the TBR. I will try to pick them when I do a vlog. Oh, this was a massive book haul, and I forgot to take a thumbnail with the books behind me, which is so dumb. Oh no, but thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely day or evening, and I hope to see you in another video. Doei!